Hello Internet, my name is Aaron and I want to be a composer for video games. Now, in a way, I can already do that quite easily since I make video games, and I can just put my own music into my own video games. But that's not really what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about making music for other people's video games. But for that, I need a portfolio, which I don't have. So this year, I'm going to be writing 50 pieces, so that's a piece almost every week, and I'm going to be documenting the process here, online, on this YouTube channel, for everyone to see if you're interested. Right, let's get started. Now, I already have an idea for the melody that I'm going to be using in this very first video in this series, because the very first improvisation I've ever made, I've never actually made a track from it. So I want to do that this year. This is the melody we're going to be using. Now, I think that's a pretty great melody. I hope it doesn't exist already. If it does, whoops! Now this melody is like 10 seconds long, so if we were to loop that for like a 3-minute track, it would get boring really, really quickly. So I need to think of some way to sort of like make an intro, a middle section, and an ending. So my idea is to sort of divide the track into 3 sections, each having their own sort of slightly different identity. But I don't know how to do that yet. Now, the first thing I have to do is sort of figure out the chord progression to that melody. I've decided to put it in C minor because that's a scale I know relatively well. And the chords are C minor, A flat major, then E flat major, then we go back to C minor, then again A flat major, and then we go up to B flat major. This is very important for me to know because now I'm going to start building the intro to the song using those chords so I can really easily implement the melody at some point. Okay, I think I've figured out an interesting intro. The core of it is a dulcimer and a piano sort of both playing repeating motifs against each other in a way, while the chord progression is sustained by the basses in, well, the bass. And this is what it sounds like. But right at the end, we introduce the motif for the first time. And this is where I've got it so far. Now, the idea that I'm having for the next section is to bring in some very like short, fast strings, which go in a sort of very arpeggiated, because we've introduced the theme, the motif at the end. I want to sort of now speed it up so we can build up to a huge, like, triumphant playing of that motif. Because right at the moment, it's still a bit too quiet, too soft. For like, I can't just like throw in a horn there and it'll sound out of place. So my idea is to sort of introduce some faster strings, some other melodic ideas to sort of build up even more until we then have a triumphant reveal of the theme. Maybe something like this. Yeah, that's working. And let's add some flutes into that. Yes, that's working really nicely. I love that. Whew. Okay, I think I figured out the transition part. We're building it and building it and building it, and most importantly, throughout this entire transition, I'm constantly reinforcing that motif by playing it in first the glockenspiel, then the CELLI, I think actually the CELLI mostly, and I'm repeating that motif in an unfinished way, which is sort of like, oh, we know where it's gonna go, maybe, but it's not quite there yet. So this is that transition part now. we end there with that huge timpani roll. And the idea is we got this, like, we got one bar right here where we essentially just have flute and bassoon doing this, and that's gonna serve as like one bar of, I'm not gonna call it a bass drop because that's not what it is, but we're essentially like giving one bar of breathing space before then the entire orchestra will come in. And that's the plan next, to like bring in all of it, like brass, piano, everything I can think of, and hopefully make it sound nice and harmonious, and then like blast out that main melody. I have no idea how to do that yet though. I think I'm going to start with horns. Okay, so we're starting with horns. One of the horns is going to be playing the melody. The three other horns are going to be playing the chord. And that sounds like this. Because that's a bit muddy, and those because the melody overlaps with the chords a bit, and it's the same instrument, I've doubled that with an English horn, and of course the glockenspiel, because we've been using it the entire time. Why not use it here? And then we're going to move that entire melody over to the clarinets in English horn, again doubled with the glockenspiel, but the glockenspiel is now one octave lower. So we're going to repeat that melody 2 times, and then one final time I've decided to repeat it down here in the CELLI. Up until that point, the CELLI are doing this uppy downy rhythm from earlier, just adjusted to the actual chords that we're using. And that gives us then we have this very short transition, again just one bar, which is going here. That earlier cello arpeggio coming back here. And then the main melody moves to the cellos, and the solo strings take over that arpeggio, which then gives us this. So that is our third repeat of the melody, and now it's getting boring, so we need to go someplace else. And because I don't have that much time left, I'm going to go to the outro. Okay, so what I've done for the outro now, it's ridiculously simple. I've taken that earlier dulcimer motif. Well, it's not a motif, it's an arpeggio. And I've brought that back, and I've added in the arpeggio from the violas earlier, and then I've added in a bass which is going over the entire thing and sort of slowly going downwards. So we go down, 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 and then we end, right? And I think that works really nicely as an outro. So with that, let's just listen to what we've got so far. thank you very much for watching. If you like this stuff, please consider subscribing. I will be doing this again almost every week this year, so there'll certainly be a lot of content for you waiting. I hope you enjoyed it, really. Now, as you might have heard while I was playing through that, the piece is still a bit muddy, so I will be mixing this, but I will not be doing that today. Number one, because my ears are fatigued. Number two, because I still have to edit this video. And also, I plan on releasing all of these pieces at the end of the year when I'm done with all 50 of them. Hopefully I can manage. And so I'll probably be doing that. But I will be documenting that as well, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. Okay, with that, bye internet.